Welcome back to the Fairway Feed, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. This past weekend, we had the Arnold Palmer Invitational at the beautiful Bayhill Golf Course in Orlando, Florida. Now, if we thought last week's challenge at the PGA National was difficult, it didn't end up holding a candle to how difficult Arnie's Place ended up playing. With some notable names in a stacked field, including Xander Schauffele, who was back in the field after sustaining a rib injury earlier this year. Troubles persisted for some, and success was found by others. There was tons of action to be had, so let's get straight into it.
Russell Henley has it, the Arnold Palmer Invitational.
Russell Henley would manage to solidify his 5th PGA Tour win and his first since November 2022 at this past weekend's Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bayhill in Orlando, Florida. This win came down to more or less one shot, which was the 16th hole. Many people have pointed out that coverage needs to drastically improve for the PGA, especially in the final rounds, and at this point you can't blame anyone for being upset. Henley would chip in on the 16th hole to take the lead for Morikawa, and yet the coverage was on a commercial break while this was happening live. One of, if not the most crucial shot in the tournament, and viewers were stuck watching a commercial break. This needs to be addressed if viewership is going to improve at all for the PGA Tour. Before this though, we headed into round 1 for the tournament with some treacherous weather conditions, especially for the early morning players. The weather would change throughout the day and benefit players teeing off later in the morning and into the early afternoon, while the early morning players were dealing with cooler temperatures and higher wind gusts. The first round scoring average on the day was a 74, which was 2 over par, and even had players such as Cam Young and Max Homa shooting in the 80s. Cam would actually snap hook his drive off the first tee out of bounds to the left and was nearly penalized after forgetting to remove one of his AirPods before starting the tournament. Xander Schauffele would also be back in the field for the second time this season. He's been out with a rib injury that saw him missing a handful of tournaments to start the year. The first 5 holes of the tournament for him actually weren't too bad, with only 1 bogey on the day and 4 other pars. But the unfolding would begin on holes 6 to 10, where he would bogey 5 holes in a row, putting him at 6 over. He did manage a birdie on the 16th hole, which would actually put him back to 5 over, but he still had a lot of work to do heading into round 2. The weather and difficult course was no impact for the 2023 US Open champion Wyndham Clark, who had charged the field with an impressive 5 under par on the day and a round ending in 67. This would put him 2 shots ahead of Shane Lowry, Corey Connors, and Keegan Bradley, who all shot an impressive 3 under par at 69. Jason Day was a workhorse in the second round, firing off an excellent 64 with 1 bogey, 7 birdies, and even an eagle coming by way of the 6th hole. But it would be Shane Lowry to come out on top heading into the weekend with a 67, snagging the lead from Wyndham Clark. Round 3 saw a flip of the script with Morikawa on a tear to the top, followed closely by Russell Henley, who would both shoot an impressive 67 on the day. Morikawa was pinpoint accurate, nailing 14 of 18 greens in regulation with consistently strong iron play. The 2 leaders heading into the day were Lowry and Clark, but they would both have their own worst showing since the start of the tournament, carding 4 over par with a 76. Jason Day would continue to have another strong showing with a 69. He would go from having a rough first round to quickly being in contention for the final round of the tournament. The final round was a neck-and-neck battle between Morikawa and Henley, which all boiled down to the 16th hole, where the tides would turn in Henley's favor. He would actually chip in for a monumental eagle, putting him in the lead with only 2 holes to play. In the end, Morikawa couldn't hold off Henley, who would secure the victory at Arnie's Place. We are officially 1 month out and in the home stretch for the first major tournament of the year, and that's for the Masters at Augusta National in Georgia. Now, for all major tournaments, we're going to be doing more in-depth analysis with a video per round so that you can stay up to date on all the news and all the stories coming out of the major tournaments this year. But between now and then, we still have a few more tournaments that we have to recap, including the Players' Championship, which will be going on this weekend at TPC Sawgrass, followed by the Valspar Championship, which is also still in Florida. Then we're going to hop over to Texas for 2 more tournaments, and then we will end up at Augusta for the first major of the year. Until then, everybody, hit them straight and keep them in the fairway, and we'll see you real soon.